This is Mr. T. I pity the fool who don't listen to the X and Y show.
The opinions expressed on the X and Y show are the sole opinions of the host. Please note, there is no intentional desire to offend any member of the listening audience. With that said, if you still feel offended, tough shit.
It's time for the X and Y show with your host, Mr. Roosevelt. He talks about man topics, lady topics, and relationships. He talks about love, sex, and infidelities. He even gives good tips. There is no other show that compares to the X and Y show.
Oh yeah. Sit back, take your clothes off, and relax. It's time for the X and Y show, where real relationship issues are talked about and addressed. The only place on the planet that tackles the topics that everyone wants to talk about, but no one is brave enough to address. Nothing escapes X and Y, baby. Now, here's your host, Roosevelt Colbert.
And greetings. Welcome to another segment of the X and Y show. And I'm your host, Roosevelt. And it is now June. It is June. Can you believe it? June. We're halfway through the year. Before you know it, we'll be back into the birth months. I can't believe it. June, July, August, September. 3 more months. 3 more months and we'll be in the birth months again. Can you really believe it? Hey, so just get through this time, this hurricane season, and the summer. I hate the summer too. But get through this 3 months and we'll be good again. We'll be back in the best part of the year. The birth months. I can't believe it. It's June, something. It is early June, but I just can't believe we're in the month of June. So I'm happy. Next month, Christmas in July, so I'll be playing Christmas music out of my office. And you always have some haters. Why are you playing Christmas music now? Mind your damn business. Just let me have me. So I can't wait for that. I can play Christmas music the whole month of July. And just get ready. This year's coming. I just can't believe. This is the quickest I ever known it to pass. Time is playing. Time is not playing. Anyway, I'm going to get on tonight's episode. Well, I'm going to answer one question first. Because this one was kind of hit homie. And I think this can happen to anybody. And this was actually one of my greatest fears of getting married. Let me just read the question. The question is from Bob. Bob says, before me and my wife got married, we had talked about kids. We came to the number of 3. Now she has changed her mind. She says we can adopt one. She does not want to have kids. I'm thinking divorce. What are your thoughts? And this is some shit that can happen to anybody. All of a sudden a woman says, I don't want to have kids. I've known people who their wives were like, I changed my mind. I don't really want to have kids. So, we got to figure out something else. Is that grounds for divorce? In my opinion, it is. Especially when you communicate with someone prior to marrying them. And they tell you that, yes, I want to have kids. And then as soon as you say I do, they're like, well, let's think about this. So that tells me, I'm sorry, I got to think of the worst. That tells me that she played on Bob, and women like her played on, husbands that wanted kids. And pretty much the woman sometimes will say anything to get married. Oh, you want to have kids? Yeah, sure, baby. I want to have 3 kids. I want to have 4. Oh, yeah. As many as you want. They'll say anything until you say I do. And then the truth comes out sometimes. Oh, well, instead of 3, let's just have 1. Or none. So that's like false advertisement. You're totally on different pages, from the get-go. So you don't change. I know people, sometimes people change, but not that much. You don't go from saying that you want to have 3 kids to none overnight. That's some shit you always had in your thoughts, in your heart. So, Bob, it sounds like to me like your wife really never intended on having children. She just said that, so you'll marry her. Let's call it what it is. Is that grounds for divorce? I'm not telling you what to do, but I definitely would divorce her ass. Because she lied to me. She lied to me. If I want to have kids, and she knows I want to have kids, and then when we get married, then, I don't want to have any. We can adopt. And, a lot of women are saying, well, what's wrong with adoption? Adoption is not the same. Women trip me out with that bullshit. Adoption is not the same. It's beautiful. You adopt a kid and you're home. And that's the last resort if you can't have. To me, adoption is for people or couples who desire to have kids, but they just can't. They can't. They've tried everything, you possibly can, but they cannot have kids. That's what it's adoption for. Adoption is not for motherfuckers who can have kids, but decide because they don't want to go from a size 2 to a size 10, I don't want to have kids. Material, vain, issues. They don't want to lose their shape and shit. That's not what adoption is for. Adoption is not the same, ladies. A lot of you always saying that shit. It was a girl back in the day when I lived in Philly. And I found out she couldn't have kids. So being like the nice guy, right? See, that's why women always want it 2 ways. They want you to be honest. And then when you be honest with them, they like, oh, what's wrong with you? You're shallow. Oh, this girl liked me. She was digging me back in the day, and I found out she couldn't have kids. So I was like, really, I could have fucked her, right? I could have got the pussy, which I don't know why I didn't. I don't know. I think it was in the middle of my transition that I was not being like that anymore. Because, during that time, Philly, I was kind of changing. Because back in the day, like in my Atlanta days, oh, shit, she would have got it. But when I was living in Philly, I was a different guy. So I wasn't trying to lead her on. I wasn't trying to just get the pussy and, knowing that we couldn't be a permanent item. So I basically told us, we're not, I want to have kids, so I don't think, you can't have kids. I don't think we would be, a possible connection. And she got mad, she got angry. We can always adopt, motherfucker, Totally rude. She was actually really rude, and I was just honest. Like I said, a lot of women always saying that they want honesty, but they can't handle the truth, right? So when I told her, I want kids, and she couldn't have kids. She told me, I forget the issue was. And I just told her, adoption is not the same. I want kids. Women, kids, adoption is not the same. A man wants kids from their nuts. They want kids from their nutsack. If at all possible. You know, they want kids from their own nut sack. Women, can you get it to your damn thick heads? Adoption is not the same for a man. It's an option when there's no other option. But if there's an option where you can have kids and you just choose not to, that's different. And adoption is not an option to cure that. So a man wants kids from their own nutsack. It's really that simple. That's what, I want kids from my own nutsack. I don't want to adopt no kid. I would rather not have any than to not have kids from my nutsack. If I'm with a woman and I know she can have kids and just choose not to, then it's time for me to go a different direction. Because I want kids from my nuts. I don't want kids from somebody else's nuts. Not if I don't have to. So, Bob, to answer your question, I mean, I'm not telling you what to do, but if it was me, I would definitely divorce your wife. She lied to you. That was false advertisement. She told you she would have kids just to get you to marry her. And now that you're married, she's reneging. So, Bob, it sounds like to me you want to have kids. It sounds like to me your wife does not. So you're not on the same page. And I don't think she'll ever be on the same page because she's not, you don't go from 3 to none. Now, if it was like she was going from 1 to none, that's kind of, maybe you just have to, I don't know. Maybe in time she will maybe come around. I don't know. But go from 3 to none? No, she felt that way for a long time. So that's definitely grounds for divorce for me. Women need to stop lying. Women always talking about men, the way they lie, and all men do is lie and da-da-da and all this bullshit. When women are the biggest liars there are. I'm just keeping it real. It's just that women are better liars than men. That's all it is. Women have their shit together. They can kind of cover their shit a lot better than guys. When guys lie, they play checkers. It's like the short move. Women lie, it's like chess. They thinking 2 and 3 moves ahead. Next thing you know, your ass checkmated. That's the way women lie. But women do lie. They lie more than men do. And they're better liars. But women need to stop lying when it comes to children. A lot of guys out there want to have kids from their own nuts. They don't want to adopt. That is not an option. So women need to stop lying. Or, Bob, in your case, your wife lied, divorce her. I mean, that's what I would do. I'm not telling you what to do, but that's what I would do. Because she lied. It'd be different if she found out something that came about later, that she had to have a hysterectomy or something. That's different. Obviously, she can't have kids. Then you would go to an adoption option. Then you would go that route. But she can have kids and she just choose not to. That's fucked up. So, yeah. Bob, I think you should part ways. That's what I would do. Anyway. So, let's get into tonight's episode. I thought about this episode because I was thinking about a situation that I had a long time ago. I don't know why I was thinking of this girl. Yes, I do. She had some good pussy. And I was just, how sometimes you think about your past and you think about all the pussy you had and the good pussy and the bad pussy and the really good pussy, and sometimes you even think about them before the person you're with because they have better pussy than they do, And I was thinking about this girl a long time ago. She had some really good pussy. I mean, capital R. Really good pussy. Really good pussy. But she was kind of weird in a way, right? because she was uncomfortable when it came to certain things. And that's my topic tonight. What is uncomfortable to you when it comes to sex? What is uncomfortable to you when it comes to sex? Now, for this past girl that I had a long time ago, she didn't like to communicate. She didn't like me to talk to her in a vulgar way when it came to sex. Like, I talk shit, right? Before I'm about to have sex, I say I'm gonna fuck the shit out you, and I'm gonna put my dick in your ear. Whatever the way I'm feeling, And she didn't like that. She was like, I do like, she's from another country, Sweden, and she would say, I do like when you talk like that. Why do you talk like that? And, it kind of confused me because, she was a freak, right? She was a freak. She did it all. But she didn't like when I talked a certain way when it came to sex. And I noticed that when I used to talk that way, she became uneasy. She became, less relaxed. She was tensed. She didn't like me to talk that way. And I noticed that when she was tense, when I talked that way, I didn't figure it out till later. But I noticed, when she told me she didn't like me to talk that way, and it affected the way that she participated in sex and actually was able to orgasm, I noticed that when I used to talk that way, she didn't enjoy it as much. And when she didn't enjoy it as much, I didn't enjoy it as much. She was not into it. And she didn't get a nut. I got mine, but she didn't get a nut. It was just not good. But when I came in and just went to, kissing her and going and to start fucking her, it was a totally different ball game. She enjoyed it. She enjoyed it more. She's more open. And when she enjoyed it more, I was enjoying it more. And she orgasmed multiple times, So that little thing of me, of course, when I realized that, that's why communication is key. When I realized that, I stopped talking in that manner. I thought first, I was like, damn, she don't like me to saying that I'm going to fuck the shit out you because that's what I'm about to do. So what's the big deal? You're thinking on a small level, like, she's a freak. She does freaky shit. Why does talk bother her? That's why communication is important. Come to find out that, it's just something that bothered her. Nothing happened. At least that's what she told me. But it was just a preference to her not to be talked to that way. It made her uncomfortable. And that's when I learned that, wow, even though a person is a freak, they still can made to feel uncomfortable when it comes to sex. And it made me think, what makes me uncomfortable, when it comes to sex. And now me, everyone's different. Me talking does not bother me. But I think that when a woman, because I've had women do this, women, some women are, I've dealt with some comedians in the past, and they know I don't like anal sex. I don't like fucking a woman in the ass. It's just not me. And I've had women that, try to, say, you're going to fuck this shit and you're going to pack this shit and, all that kind of stuff. That used to bother me. It still does. Because I don't, it's just something about that act that really makes me uncomfortable. I don't know what, a lot of you saying, well, maybe it's because you think it goes to man or man. Maybe it does. But me personally, a preference, why would I fuck a shitty ass when I got a nice, tender, wet pussy to go into, which is made for a dick? I'm going to go in a stinking ass. And I'm not knocking it. A lot of you out there have anal sex with your partner. I'm not knocking it. It's just not for me. So that's what the title of the show is. What makes you uncomfortable? That makes me uncomfortable. To even talk about anal sex and let alone performing it with a woman, that makes me very uncomfortable. The act of doing a sexual act. With her, my prior girlfriend, it was just communication. It was a word. I just spoke something and it made her uncomfortable. The way I talked, I would say something and, I want to fuck you. I'm going to tear your ass up and blah, blah, blah. That just saying certain slurs would actually make her uncomfortable. So, some people, it is an act or the conversation that makes them uncomfortable when it comes to sex, or their past, of course. Something happened in their past where they were molested or something, from, they had a bad sexual experience, rape. And, certain things make them uncomfortable. Like, for example, maybe the rapist had them in a certain sexual position, which they are no longer since the rapist had them in that position, then they're not comfortable in being in that position because it reminds them of being raped. Makes them uncomfortable. So I thought that was, and when I looked into this subject, a lot of people are not having orgasms because they are uncomfortable in some type of way. And I think that a lot of people are not sexually satisfied only because they don't communicate with their other and let them know what makes them uncomfortable. A lot of guys, they assume that all girls, all women like sucking dick, and that's definitely not the case. Now, me personally, I like my dick sucked. So me being with a woman that don't like to perform oral sex probably wouldn't work. However, I think that is some things that you can hash out early in the relationship. What makes you uncomfortable when it comes to sex? Now, this is something that you don't have to talk about on the first date. Don't go in there on the first date. You like to get fucked in the ass? Take me home. Will you take me home, please? I just want to go home. No, we're going to finish these wings, But, don't go in there on the first date talking about, that kind of stuff. This is some shit like maybe, I would say 10 dates in, 10 dates in, and maybe 10, 15 dates. Well, you find out what makes them tick, you talk about it and what makes you uncomfortable, is there anything that you don't like when it comes to sex? You have to talk, you have to have this conversation. With so many couples, it's like sex is a taboo type of conversation that you don't talk about. And that's the problem with so many couples in society. They don't talk about sex. They don't talk about what makes them happy or what makes them feel good or what makes them unhappy or what makes them feel bad. They don't talk. Everyone is assuming. Oh, I got a big dick. I know she like it in the ass. Well, I know she like this position. I got a real big dick. I know she like it put it in her mouth, you know. Oh, I got some good pussy. I know he like me to sit on his face. I know he like me to ride him, you know. I know he likes me to kiss him on his nuts or whatever the case may be. Too many couples are assuming what the other like. No one talks. What do you like? What do you like when it comes to sex? What makes you uncomfortable when it comes to sex? And that's very important, because if you're doing something that makes someone uncomfortable, how are they going to enjoy it? And if they're not enjoying it, how are you going to enjoy it? And, you know, it helps you in the long run, because if they're not enjoying it, then they're probably not going to want to fuck you too much. So it would behoove you to find out what is important, you know, what makes a person uncomfortable when it comes to sex. So you don't do that, whatever it is, you know, a certain act, conversation, or dealing with their past in some type of way. And that could be anything. It could be maybe they didn't receive the therapy that they needed for that past event. Or maybe you're doing something that reminds them of that past. But you have to talk about it so you'll know. You don't know how you're going to talk about it. If you don't talk about it, how are you going to know? If you don't know, how are you going to address it? So, you know, guys, just because you have a big dick doesn't mean that every woman wants it in their mouth. Just because you have a big dick doesn't mean everyone wants it missionary style. Just because you have a big dick don't mean every woman wants you to slap in their face. I know, I've been told. Ladies, just because you got some good pussy don't mean every guy wants you to sit on their face. Just because you got good pussy don't mean every guy wants you to, you know, wants to eat your pussy. There are certain things that make people uncomfortable when it comes to sex. Everyone has something. Everyone. Or some things. Right? Sometimes there's more things that makes a person uncomfortable when it comes to sex. This is something that has to be and should be ironed out in the early dating stages. You have to find out if you're able to accommodate this or live by this with this person. If I find that a person or a girl or a woman didn't like to perform oral sex, now some guys would be like, well, maybe she had a certain issue in the past that we need to address, and, you know, she'll like sucking dick when we address that. And now, fuck all that. I don't have the time to be doing all that shit. So, you know, not in the dating stages. Now, if you're married, that's different. You know, of course we have to deal with it. But if we're dating, fuck that. I found somebody who liked to suck a dick. So if I find out she don't like to perform oral sex, I'm moving on, because I like my dick sucked. You know. So, you know, but you have to communicate. If we don't communicate about that, then how am I going to know that she doesn't like to perform oral sex? And it turns vice versa. If, you know, me and another woman, you know, who's dating in the initial stages, and she's talking and she likes to peg guys. Now, for you ignorant motherfuckers, pegging is when a woman puts on a strap on and like to fuck a guy in the ass. And of course, that will never happen with me. I don't even like fucking women in the ass. I damn sure ain't gonna let them do me. That's not me. And it'll never be me. So I'm not for her. And I'll never be for her. You know, she can say, well, you know, Roosevelt, you just come around. You just need someone to show you. No. Fuck all that. need no one to show me shit. It's not me, and it'll never be me. And, so we're not compatible. She likes to do something that definitely I'm not doing and will never do. That makes me uncomfortable even talking about it. So we're not compatible. But if we never communicated, we never talked that, what makes you uncomfortable, how will she know? So anyway, I'm just saying that there's a lot of couples out there who are not having good sex lives because everyone is assuming. There's no one communicating what makes them uncomfortable or what makes them feel good. A lot of wives out there, a lot of girlfriends, they like their pussy licked, and then, the boyfriends or husbands never lick their pussy and they're not satisfied. But, they don't tell their husbands or boyfriends, I like my pussy. They never say anything. So their boyfriends and girlfriends, you would think their boyfriends and husbands would know, but if they don't mention it, sometimes she ain't saying nothing. And same way around, and a lot of husbands out there and boyfriends like their dick sucked, and their girlfriends are not doing it. Or they like their dick sucked, they like you to swallow. Right? And they're not doing it, and you're not saying that, I like my nut swallowed. You're not saying anything, so the woman's like, well, I'll suck his dick for a few seconds and let him fuck me. You have to communicate. Otherwise, you'll be just like a lot of couples out there who are unsatisfied sexually because no one is doing what anyone likes, or they're doing too much what the other doesn't like, making them uncomfortable when it comes to sex. So all I'm saying, communicate with your partner, communicate with your husband, communicate with your wife, communicate with your boyfriend or girlfriend. Find out, and this is actually something that should be found out in the dating stages. When you're in marriage, it's late. Not saying it's not fixable, but it's late at that stage. In the dating stage, that's where you need to find out. Do you like to suck dick? Do you eat pussy? Do you like to do this? Do you like to do that? What not to talk about? How do you not like to be talked to when it comes to sex? All of that needs to be addressed before you say I do. Anyway, hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Be sure to check out the XY Show episodes on every weekly, either on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. A new episode will be coming out. Be sure to check out any episodes that you may have missed, or follow me on social media. I'm on Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And also my episodes are in the same place, which is my website, which is www.xyshow.com. You can find everything there. You can also find the XY store. Buy your shirt, let everyone see that you're a true X and Wire. Without further ado, I will see you next week, and I want you always to remember, you cannot have love or lust without X and Y. Later.
You've been listening to The X and Y Show with your host, Roosevelt Colbert, the place where real relationship issues are talked about and addressed. Join us next time. You can now put your clothes back on, or not.